After the teaching of Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
Arjuna receives all the messages and then he goes to the war. And in any event which is like shoka, like very grief, this thing, he is not exhibiting that he has overcome this grief. Like, for example, Abhimanyu's death, or even later part also, he has not been able. He has got the teaching, but he has not been able to come out of it. Like, he is not exhibiting such characteristics. So I don't know. Like, was there any real benefit only to do the war, or did he learn for his life? So that was the question.
Yeah. So the question is this. So 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and Lagatar Krishna has been talking, and Arjuna has been asking questions, and Q&A going on. Satsang, probably inside Satsang also. And, so all that going on. And finally, the question is that he doesn't seem to exhibit that promise that you will be free of sorrow that is given by the Shastram and by Krishna. Enna? Huh? Oh, அப்படியா? சரி, நான் வரேன். So he doesn't exhibit this promise given by this. I don't see. Arjuna continues to be sad by the death of his son, etc. This is the question. So here is the thing. So this homeless, homeless people in America they call homeless, and India we use another word called beggar. They're all beggars, we say, but yeah, let's use the word homeless. Say these homeless people are there, and some people, instead of giving them money, what they do? One fellow, he gave him a lottery ticket. Okay, yellow 10 rupee lottery ticket. Give it to him. And so this homeless guy, later on the lottery was announced, and it turns out this homeless person won a jackpot. Homeless person won a jackpot. Let's say some 50 crores. Okay. In America, it's a big thing. Here, I don't know. I don't see these stores selling lottery tickets and all. Maybe I've seen it someplace, but it's not common at all.
Kerala.
Huh?
Kerala only.
Kerala only, yeah? So America, any store you go, any gas station, whatever, you can always buy lottery tickets. And so jackpot he won. And then somebody says, yeah, you are in jackpot, 50 crores. And this fellow hasn't even seen a 100 rupee note in his life. And 50 crores and all that. What is this? He got it. Then somebody has to say, no, Are bhai, 50 crores means it's not an ordinary sum of money. You are no longer going to not only not sit on the road, you will not see the road anymore. You will only be flying. Therefore, you won't see the road. Yeah. So this is what he was told. And so what to do now? So then let's go get the money and all that. He gets the money, he pays taxes, and then he goes into a big bungalow, and then he sits there. Then time has come. What time has come? Evening time. Say 8 o'clock. Arey, bhook lag rahi hai. And so I'm hungry. You know what he does? He rushes to the same intersection where he's been there all these years. And guess what? He does like this. And these other people next to him, the other homeless people are looking at him. You know why? Because he's wearing 2-3 watches. One hand, one watch is enough. 2 hands also, one hand. He's wearing 3 watches. And he has some rings also on the side. And then he's extending his palms. And somebody has to remind him, hey, beta, you should not be doing all this. You should be giving us. You should be giving us some dhanam. That ring, you please give it to me. That is your position. You don't have to beg like that. Now tell me what happened. What happened? This fellow is a Karodpati. And now he is in the street. Why? Because in the mind, this fellow is still a beggar. I am a homeless person and I've been doing this all life, and now I'm continuing to do this. He has to constantly remind himself, I'm a Karodpati, I'm a Karodpati, I'm a Karodpati. He has to go home, he has to hire some people and force them to make some food, force him to himself to spend some money, because he has not spent any money. He doesn't know what money is. Where is the question of spending money? Not possible. So he has to learn to spend money, and he has to hire some cooks. He has to do all these things. And then it takes some time. And people slap on him and say, no, you should not do all this. You wear better clothes. You can't wear the tattered clothes like this. You have to wash your clothes every day. Do you know what is the meaning of washing the clothes? No, I don't know. Okay, let me buy you a washing machine. Come on. Do you know what a soap is? Do you know what a detergent is? No, I don't. Okay, wait, I'll buy some detergent. So, how much does it cost? It costs 15 rupees. Oh, 15 rupees it costs? Hey, you've got 15 crores, my dear. 15 rupees you give me, I'll buy some. So he has to get used to, he has to grow out of this karpanya dosha. Remember, Arjuna said, karpanya dosha upahata swabhava. So this karpanya dosha is there. Yeah, all life long I've been begging. And I've been seeking this, I'm an insecure guy. Suddenly Shastram says you're secure. And even when I understand it, this past is still there. Correct? This past is still there. And that knee-jerk reaction, as they call it, knee-jerk reaction is there. And so that is why there is something called, so Shravanam is what all of us are doing. Then Mananam. Mananam means this satsang Q&A is Mananam. You have thought through it, you're asking a question. So you're thinking through, you're processing. So that is called Mananam. And then there is another step called Nididhyasana. So once the subject matter is properly understood, then you, like this guy has to say, sit in a quiet place and turn off the lights and say, I am a Karodpati. I am a Karodpati. I don't have to worry about 10 rupees. I don't have to worry about 10 rupees. I don't have to worry about 15 rupees. I don't have to worry about 20 rupees. I don't have to worry about 25 rupees. I don't have to worry about 30 rupees. 30 rupees? No. I don't have to worry about 30 rupees. I don't have to worry about 35 rupees. I don't have to worry about 40 rupees. 50 rupees? Oh my God. No, I don't have to worry about 50 rupees. This is called Nididhyasana. This is called Nididhyasana. Lot of Nididhyasana this guy has to do. Same thing. Arjuna also has to go through the same process. This is why you don't see it in Arjuna. Does that answer your question, Satish?
Jaykumarji, he didn't, for those 18 days of the war, though, he didn't walk back on his action, right? Once he went into the war, he didn't question himself again, though. Or he didn't have to remind himself again, right? That
remind himself of what?
That it's a just cause, right? The war is a just cause. He finally got convinced and he went into the war. But then every day he didn't have to remind himself.
Remind himself that that he has to cause. Just cause, etc. Right? Yeah. So that he's ready for war. He has come to fight a war. So he's as ready as anybody else can be. And so that part is not there. But there is confusion. He is now just psychologically distressed, completely distressed at the what is going to happen. And so he is ready to fight. And so but something is stopping him from fighting. So all Krishna did was remove that something. Remove that something that is stopping him from doing what is to be done. And that's it. Yathechasi tatha kuru. So as you please do. This is what Krishna's parting words were. And so Krishna, next class we will talk a little more about this last part of this shloka. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. What that means, and it has some very interesting meaning to it. So we will see that. So yeah, he for him, he didn't have to be reminded about what his duty was, but what he thought was his duty was so painful for him not to do, but the results, consequences of doing that were so phenomenally scary that he was giving excuses now to not do that. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Now, is it because he acquired enough clarity for that particular situation, but when he was faced with the situation of Abhimanyu's death, he was not prepared for that? He didn't have enough clarity for that?
Correct. So clarity is there, but this is called
Nididhyasanam.
This is called Nishta. Nishta. Nitaram Sthiti. It's called Nishta. Nishta means this young boy, student, hardly 3rd grade, 4th grade, is beginning to learn arithmetic. So addition, subtraction and all it is learning. And then suddenly you give it, you tell it, what is 12 plus 5? This 12 plus 5 means it's scary. 2 plus 5 I can do. But 12 plus 5 is a bit, I need some time. And so some time is needed for that. Then 3-digit means a little more time I need. So like that one needs time to, because there are certain things that are dear to me. Other things not so dear. So that growth comes from the outside to the inside, And so the dearest ones are the ones that cause us a lot of joy as well as sorrow, both. And so that's probably the reason why Arjuna feels that. Yeah, because son means then again moha is always there, but that kriya, pasam, that I don't want to use the word attachment, but the connection to that person is so much. And we are connected with everybody, but with a few people we are really connected closely. So it takes some time, And also one more thing we must remember. One is a psychological response. So my son passed away. It's a very sad event. My son passed away. There is no option but for me to grieve. Even the jnani may grieve for that, but the grief will not stay for long. Because psychological response is there, because the mind, body and all is there, and it has to follow the laws. And then there is some grief, but the jnani will not grieve forever. The jnani will come out of the grief, say, yes, this is how it is. This is how it is. And I will snap out of it. Yes, it's sad. I will do whatever duties are there. I will cremate my son. I will do all these things, do all the duties and whatever it is I do. And it is sad, no doubt. And but guess what? Atma Avinashi. My son's Atma is also Avinashi. My Atma also is Avinashi. That's it. I'm very clear about this. And so nothing can shake me, even though I was shaken a little bit for a while. But then no, that happens, that nobody can stop. So this is also possible, Bhagya, okay?
Jayakumarji, is it fair to say that such experiences for a jnani are actually opportunities to develop more clarity?
Yeah, solidifying understanding.
Correct. So definitely. So absolutely. So when something like that happens, and something shook me up so much, so badly, and then she has to think, what happened? Why did I get shaken up so much? If I was shaken, then that question has to be asked. I allowed myself to be shaken up so much, or Did I miss the point or what? The Sharira is gone. I've done my best to my son. My son did his best to me. Yes, I would love it if he were alive. Yes, I would like it. But this is how it's going to be. Either I am going to die before him or he is going to die before me. These are the only two possibilities. Okay? These are only two. One of the two possibilities has happened. Generally, people think the older people will pass away before the younger people. That is also fine. That's a reasonable expectation. In this case, that didn't happen. And so, especially war type situations, anything can happen. And so, that is also another way to manage oneself. And of course, Atma Jnanam doesn't think like that. He knows all that. Everything I said just now, he already knows. And Atma Jnani isn't shaken by any of these things. And Nishtha, that's why this Nididhyasanam and all is needed. And then after that, Nishtha is there. Nishtha, no more this hangover, the hangover. This homeless person has a hangover of his past. It was a hangover. Initially, the hangover is huge. Initially, he thinks he's sitting in a bungalow, but he thinks he's a beggar. He's a homeless person. Okay. So, sure. So, short answer to your question is yes. It is an opportunity for the person to inquire into why he's behaving the way or responding the way he's responding. Without judging oneself.
Yeah.
Jnani will not judge oneself. Oh, I'm no good. And I should not have done this. Should not have done this. Tere haath mein kya hai? Should not have done this. God should not have done this. Yeah. So this is how it is. And so.
Yeah, that would be invoking kartritvam, right? If you are saying, I should not have done this, you are assuming.
Correct. Yeah. This is Jnani will not have, that's why I said this is not the language of a Jnani. And but yeah, so you can say the Jnani who has not gained Nishtha, it's an opportunity to do further Nididhyasanam. Yeah. For one who is not a Jnani also, it's a great opportunity. No doubt. Yeah.
So at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, can we assume that Arjuna has become a Jnani already? Or does he just have...
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we don't... we assume that Arjuna got the knowledge. And because he says, I'm clear about what I have to do. And then clarity is there. And based on this teaching only. Because it's not based on what is your dharma. This is not a dharma shastra. Bhagavad Gita is not dharma shastra. What are the rights and wrongs? What happens if you kill so many kings? What if the countries become like this? What should you do? No, that is not this text about. It's not a meeting among all the ministers and deciding what is the right course of action. All the outcomes are all mapped out, and all this companies do this. What is called? This is called disaster management. I think it's called. And so after this 9/11, they have these plans in the Americas, at least all corporations plan out. Something disastrous happens, then how do you respond? So this text is not like that. And so this is a moksha shastram, and we can assume that Arjuna has gained enough clarity, at least minimum clarity he has, and whatever else he has to do, he should do after that. Yeah.
Jay Kumar, can I ask you a couple of questions, please?
Yeah, Ara Prasad, go ahead.
Okay. This is about questions on Atma. Now, why does Vedas use two different words? Brahman and Atman, both are the same. Why do they use it like that? And how does the word Brahman is coined? And also, I have a question on Ekaha Atma. I have a question later.
Okay. So, coinage of Brahman. So, Brahman refers to the Satyam of the Jagat. The truth, the Satyam of the Jagat is called Brahma. So Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This is a famous statement. So Satyam is Brahma and Jagat, the world, the universe is Mithya. This we know. So Brahma. So then the origin of Brahma is what? Brihatvat Brahma. Brihatvat means there is nothing all pervasive. Brahma is all pervasive. Brihat means big. Big. That word Brihat. There is a root of Brahma. And big means it is not even, you can't say it is the biggest. It is that concept of big also, it is bigger than the concept of big. Okay. That is the idea behind Brahma. And so it is generally used as the Adhisthana of Jagat. It is the Satyam of Jagat. And Atma is a word that is used especially talking about the Jiva. When our topic revolves around ourselves, the human being, the problems of the human being, the fundamental confusion that is there, fundamental problems, behavior, and what is the essence of this Jiva. So there we use the word Atma. There we use the word Atma. Without bringing in the word Brahma. Because Brahma we will bring in when we analyze the world. When we analyze this body, when we analyze this life, when we analyze this mind and these senses, etc., then the Shastra uses the word Atma. And Atma being the truth of this body, mind, sense complex. Okay. And because first approach here in studying the Shastram is when I see an object there, I call it a tree, a mango tree. You see the object, you call it mango tree. She sees the object, she also calls it mango tree. Everybody calls it mango tree. An objective statement, everybody agrees. But when it comes to my body, so this statement is true about every object in this world other than me. So I call this a refrigerator, I call this a door, I call that a table, etc. All that is fine. And there is no confusion between that object and myself. I don't say, I am that refrigerator. I don't say, I am the table. I don't say that. Nobody makes that mistake. I don't confuse myself to be the table and say, I have 4 legs. Okay, nobody makes that mistake. So when it comes to all objects in this world, other than me, there is no confusion. There's no confusion. The confusion starts with this body. From this body onwards, confusion starts. It is very clear that there is confusion. Because when I say tall, I'm referring to this body. I'm referring to this body. When I say I'm hungry, then what? Then I'm referring to what? Body is hungry or what? Body is not hungry. Hungry refers to something else. Some physiological system in the body referring to the digestive system. And I'm hungry. I'm sad. I'm sad means what? Digestive system is sad or what? Because it instead of parota, it got some sukka roti. Therefore, digestive system is sad or what? No, it's not like that. So digestive system doesn't complain. It simply keeps on eating, and then takes some anti, what do you call it? Digestive aids and all it takes. No problem. Okay. So confusion starts from here. Correct. So the Shastram, when it teaches, it points out this confusion. Hey, you are very enlightened when it comes to all these objects in this world. But when it comes to this body, there is some confusion. Are you able to see the confusion? Okay. So, are you able to mute everybody or should I do that? So, So, yeah, so therefore, the teaching starts from this body onwards. Okay. And can you hear me? Yeah, good. And then, so the whole analysis of the body and everything, and then until the clarity begins to say that, yeah, I have taken this body to be the real me, and there is something called Atma, and that Atma is not the body. The body is Atma. Atma is not the body. All this I begin to understand. So Atma becomes the topic of analysis, right? Atma, 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 we talk. Later on, the world is analyzed. The world is analyzed, and the Satyam of that Jagat is Brahma. And then, what is the relationship between Brahma and Atma? Okay. Then the Shastram has no choice but to say, Tat Tvam Asi. That Brahma and Tvam, you, the Atma, are identical. So we have, it's a methodology. It's a methodology. You first understand about yourself. Tvam, that's why the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita refers to Tvam. Krishna is unfolding the nature of the self. Then the next second 6 chapters, Tat. Then the last 6 chapters, the identity, Asi. So it's a gradual process. Haraprasad. Hope that helps. Yeah. Good. Anil Kumar.
Yeah. Last class we talked about the destruction, non-destruction. So we understood that Sat is not destroyed by Asat nor by Sat kind of thing. So the other way around, we also understood that Asat can be destroyed by Asat. So can Asat also be destroyed by Sat as well?
Yeah. So talking about this Nasha, mutual, what kind of things affect each other? And so we said Asat can affect Asat. Mithya can affect Mithya. Any 2 objects can influence each other, can interact with each other. That is clear. So the question here is, can Sat affect Asat? Correct? That is the question. Because Sat has a higher status, and Sat seems to give its existence to Asat. And so can it Sat affect Asat or Mithya? So we also discussed this. We said, can clay affect the pot? So okay, we said the pot cannot affect clay. That much we saw. The pot cannot affect clay because the pot's existence depends on clay, and there is no independent object called pot which is independent of clay to impact the clay. That we saw. Does clay affect the pot? This is the question. Very interesting. Maybe I did not cover it. Clay can affect pot if, again same, if the pot were independent of clay, then clay can affect pot. No, pot is dependent entirely on clay. So you can say, because clay is the substrate of the pot, the entire existence of the pot depends on clay. So in a way, to say clay affects pot, the most stronger statement is clay is what gives existence to pot. So if clay disappears, then pot has to disappear. But if pot disappears, nothing happens to clay. So this much is there. If you look at that relationship, then you say, yeah, clay can do anything to pot. But clay really is not interested in doing that. You know why? Because the clay is not insecure. Clay always is, always will be. And so it is not interested in doing anything to anybody. And clay does not have any kartrutvam, which we are going to talk later. That this insecurity is not there, and doership is not there, And all these things are not there for clay. Therefore, clay really cannot do anything to pot also. Pot can be, can go, but clay. But then we do say clay is the cause of the pot, karana of the pot. So in a way, pot came into being from clay. Therefore, clay is the karana of the pot. And clay is what sustains the pot when the pot is existent. And pot also goes into clay. Pot resolves into clay after the pot is destroyed. So, in that analysis, we will say clay has no kartrutvam. Clay really doesn't destroy the pot, and therefore, Sat also doesn't destroy anything, because everything is Sat. Sat can destroy something only if there is something other than Sat is there. Correct? If something other than Sat is there, then you can talk. Which horse should I bet on? Which horse should I bet on? The black horse or the white horse? You can have that argument. But between Satyam and Mithya, there is no argument. There is no argument. Because Mithya's existence is just so. So yeah, Sat cannot do anything to, let's put it this way, Asat cannot do anything to Sat, because Asat depends entirely on Sat for its existence. Sat cannot do anything to Asat, because Asat is Sat. Asat is not a competition to Sat. Therefore, Asat cannot do anything to Sat, need not do anything to Sat. Okay?
I have a question.
Sorry.
Yeah, Mohini, go ahead.
Same thing. You're saying that Sat doesn't affect Asat, but it will affect Sat because the entire existence is also dependent. I mean, you can say it doesn't affect the way you explained. I understand what you said, because you know what, it is not interested, it does not have kartrutva, but it does affect in the way that its existence itself is dependent on the Sat. So we can say it affects, we can say not affects, depending on which way you look at it.
Correct, exactly.
It does affect because it is responsible for its existence. Otherwise, the pot doesn't exist at all.
Yeah, so this argument is actually moot, because Asat depends entirely on Sat. And so if I ask you, can wood destroy the chair? What kind of answer can you give? Can wood destroy what kind of argument can that be?
Yeah, I mean, essentially it is made of the same stuff, so it cannot destroy itself, and it's not interested either, but it lends existence. That's all I can say is the way it affects is by lending existence. That's all.
It lends existence. That's all. It is akarta. Wood is akarta. We will later on talk about akarta. It's not a doer at all. And so wood also is helpless. The chair also is helpless because it depends on wood entirely. Wood also is helpless. How wood is helpless? Because it doesn't need any help also. It doesn't need any help. It always is. It always will be. And it can't do anything also. It can't do anything. Therefore, it is helpless. And not a very bad kind of helpless. It's okay. It's happy being what it is. And so wood continues to be. So that question, this is just a way of answering the question. But it is not like, oh, these two brothers are fighting with each other. What will happen? Ambani brothers are fighting with each other. What will happen? You know, the media, all headlines are all busy. Great story for the media to just go on and on and on and on. And everybody just wastes everybody's time and WhatsApp and videos and this and that. And so such a thing cannot happen with Sat and Asat. And so we can leave it at that.
Jayakumar,
question, Jayakumarji.
Yeah, Meera Narayan.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about Bhagavanta. You said Bhagavan is 6 virtues and it is immeasurable. Then how could there be a plural for Bhagavan?
How can there be a plural for Bhagavan? Good. How can there be a plural for Brahma? Everything is Brahma. Then plural means what? Another parallel world somewhere, you know. it's very far away. And there's another Brahman which is going to what do you call this? It's called this. One company aggressively takes over another company. I think
Takeover.
Takeover. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a word for it. I forget what it is.
Hostile takeover.
Acquisition.
Hostile takeover.
Oh, hostile.
Hostile takeover. That Brahma is waiting. Brahma too. Hostile takeover. This Brahma is sleeping, thinking it is the Adhisthana of the entire Jagat. But wait. So, like that, it's not possible. And so, so Bhagavan, singular. But here we are talking about a Sanskrit word, Bhagavan. A Sanskrit word is a Sanskrit word. It can be singular, it can have a dual form, it can have a Bahuvachanam, etc. So, even Brahma is singular, dual, and plural, believe it or not.
Even Atman has all the different declinations.
Atma has Atma, Atmano, Atmanah, Atmanam, Atmano. 21 forms of Atma, my goodness. So once you come to Sanskrit, then you have even more fun. So good question. So Bhagavantaha is there. But if you refer to Bhagavan as Devata, then Devataha, Aneke Devataha, something. So that also is possible. Correct? Meera? Yeah. Good question.
I was thinking about the pot and the clay. See, pot and the clay, even though there are two different orders of reality, one reality depends on the other reality. So really there is only one reality and they cannot interact against each other.
Yeah, they cannot interact. Like the body and its shadow, they cannot really interact. They may be very close to each other, and in fact, they are touching each other. But really speaking, they can't interact with each other. Yeah. That's why that question, that's why that question can be answered in many ways. And so I just gave that answer just to make you think. You're also right, Haraprasad. Veerabhadrata Dasari.
Guruji, this is regarding our beggar story, the vasanas and all. In reality, if we have to have an nididhyasana to overcome all this body and all, of course we have 3 to 4 years of journey. I'm not so eager, but at the same time, what is tomorrow, I don't know. So now itself, at this moment, I want to practice or do some sort of. So what do you suggest that?
Yeah. So one thing we do, we begin to do dhyana. So along with Shravanam, Shravanam goes on. And then we also do dhyana. So one of these days, what I'll do is we can have a half-an-hour session where those of you who are interested, we can begin to learn meditation, as they call it. We call it dhyanam. And if you've not done that before, then we can begin to learn that. And it's a very important thing in the life of a sadhaka. And dhyanam is important, like japa and other things. And so my father and I do dhyanam 6:30 in the evenings. And so when I'm there at home here, and so we can do that. And so let me know if you're all interested in something like that. Then if so, then we can carve out half an hour some time, and then we can have dhyana. So that Veerabhadra, that is one way where we can. It's very important just to kind of defocus ourselves from all the activities we've been doing, and then learn to be ourselves. And so dhyanam is very important in the life of every Indian. And so definitely we can practice that. That's what comes to my mind right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because
that would be very helpful, Jakumarji, and I would be very interested too.
Because reading, this is what come to my mind when you say that beggar and his vasanas and all, and what I'm doing. So week over week, just I'm coming and listening, and maybe as you said, Shravana is happening and Manana is happening. But the Nididhyasana and Nishtha, and those are all I'm unable to do so. And I don't know what tomorrow is. So at this moment, what I want to,
Correct. So Dhyanam is important, and Dhyanam, there are different types of Dhyanam, etc. And then we will start with the basics, and that will automatically lead us towards Nididhyasana.
Sure.
So we can definitely do that. So if you're all interested, you let me know. And then
We will be interested, Kumarji, but just tell us the time. Are you going to combine it with the Bhagavad Gita class, or will this be a separate session?
No, I don't think it's good to combine with the Bhagavad Gita session. Let this session be different. And then Dhyanam can be just half an hour. Typically, half an hour is enough. We can start at a particular time. It will be a guided meditation. So I'll be guiding all of you. And all you have to do is listen to it. Close your eyes and listen. And you are taking a position in a seated asana. And then I will just guide you through, and after half an hour we are done, and then we sign off. We are not going to have another satsang and all that after that. We just sign off, and I'll give you instructions and all that. So it will be just for 30 minutes.
Thank you so much, Kumarji. That would be nice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji.
I'll keep that in mind, and then I'll bring it up. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much, Guruji.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. So, if there are any other questions, we can cover it in the next class. It's about 10:51 here in Coimbatore. So thanks a lot for joining again today, and keep the teaching in mind, and refer to your notes once in a while, because we are only meeting two times a week, and so maybe useful to keep some notes, and then just at least review some words and meanings and some thoughts that really made sense to you in class, and something that struck you as very seminal, very important, very profound. I think you can underline those ideas. Keep at it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavadaha.